Weed withdrawal versus nicotine withdrawal. If you're addicted to both, which one should you quit first? This was a common question that I get from people on our YouTube channel. I get emails about this all the time. And this is a question that I personally struggled with when I was struggling with THC and nicotine addiction. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset Recovery Coaching, where we help people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. So be sure to subscribe if you need help with any of those things. Okay. Let's cover the grounds first, which is which one is it more urgent that you quit first? That's where we have to start. For me personally, it was weed. I was addicted to weed. Now, granted, I would only smoke during the evening hours, never really during the daytime, maybe occasionally on like a Sunday when I wasn't working or didn't have school or something like that. But I had to quit weed first because personally, I feel like weed was having a much larger impact in a negative way on my mental health and my physical health than nicotine was. And for those of you guys who don't know, I was addicted to both black market THC cartridges, medical grade cartridges, dry herb. I was smoking all of that stuff. But particularly when the black market products came into the mixture, or the cartridges, that's when I noticed things getting really, really bad. And I developed symptoms of Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome and all these bad health things. So for me, it was urgent, in my opinion, that I had to quit weed. And I think you have to pause right now and you have to decide which one is having a greater negative impact on your life. Like, I could use nicotine and I could go through my day-to-day routines and my day-to-day tasks and still be pretty productive overall. With weed, my productivity was getting completely crushed, completely killed. That's just me personally. You might be different. Let me know in the comments down below. Which one do you feel is more detrimental to your productivity and your day-to-day activity, weed or nicotine? Let me know in the comments below. In my case, weed was also more detrimental to my health because I was suffering from crazy health consequences from my cannabis use. Which one are you suffering more with? Your health consequences, nicotine or weed? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm really curious to hear. So for me, making that decision was, okay, I'm going to quit weed first. And that's exactly what I did. I quit weed first. I went through like 3 or 4 days of withdrawal symptoms, really intense, and they sucked. I had insomnia. I had intense sweating. My behavior was manic. The nausea was horrible. I was struggling to eat food for honestly about a month. But remember, I did have the Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome going on. I was crying at the drop of a hat. I was laughing at the drop of a hat. I mean, I was emotionally a pretty big mess in the beginning of this process. And again, I was using carts. So now at this point, I'm coughing up stuff. My mouth is salivating all the time, just like really screwed up symptoms. Okay. And the first 3 days were by far the worst. After about 2 weeks, I think I was kind of coming back down to earth, but it was really for the first month. And one of the worst things was my pain modulation, like my pain perception was so out of whack. I could not work out. I could not lift weights. All I could do was walk on a treadmill because anything beyond that level of exertion, I just had like tearing pain in my muscles and my joints and my bones. I was getting really bad tremors and muscle twitching when I was coming off of weed, like really, really, really weird stuff. Crazy, vivid nightmares. I mean, terrifying dreams. I had a dream that I was in the movie The Evil Dead and that I was using a hacksaw to cut off my own arm. I remember that one night. So I was really going through it with weed withdrawal. Now, after I successfully quit weed, maybe a week or 2 afterwards, I started to tackle nicotine. So I didn't wait that long. Like, I jumped pretty much right from weed to then quitting nicotine. And nicotine withdrawal, it's hard to say because I was still going through weed withdrawal. Like, I wasn't testing myself regularly to see when I was clearly fully detoxed from weed. But I wouldn't be surprised if I had weed into my system after quitting well up to like 60 days. I mean, we talk about 3 months being the gold standard for quitting weed. But so nicotine withdrawal then started, and it was kind of the same idea. Once I really focused on quitting nicotine, the sweating, the insomnia, the mood swings, definitely with nicotine, a lot more irritability. I was a lot more irritable with people. I was a lot more short-tempered. The crying at like the drop of a hat was kind of the same thing with nicotine withdrawal. And for me, the cravings for nicotine were definitely more intense than the weed. From a physical standpoint, though, I went through hell when I was quitting weed. Quitting nicotine from a physical withdrawal standpoint was not that bad. I struggled a lot more mentally when I was quitting nicotine. Again, predominantly with like the cravings and the irritability and just kind of some mood dysregulation. And part of that was probably because I already felt like crap because I was detoxing from all this weed. It was a lot. It was a lot for my body to go through. It was a lot. And then I decided to quit adult media content too shortly after that. So it's just this cascade effect. But I'd love to know what your guys' opinion are. Like, what did you struggle more with physically, nicotine withdrawal or THC withdrawal? Which one did you struggle more with mentally, nicotine or THC? For me, it was nicotine mentally. Physically, it was weed. And which one did you guys have to quit first? Like, do you think weed was having a greater negative impact on your life? Or do you think nicotine was having a greater negative impact on your life? And did that determine which one you had to quit first? I would love to hear your guys' take on all this and see if we have comparable stories. Overall, though, if I were to rate it, for me, nicotine withdrawal, not the worst thing in the world. The withdrawal from the weed and the carts, that really sucked. Like, there was points where I thought I couldn't manage. And if you're thinking, which one should I quit first? Just ask yourself, which one is having the greatest negative impact on your life right now? Is it, which one's hurting your finances more? Which one is hurting your relationships more? Which one is hurting your physical health more, your mental health more? It was a no-brainer for me that was weed, like at the time, especially with the carts and using the carts. It was a no-brainer. But for you guys, it might be different. Maybe that's nicotine. I think either way, once here's my other word of caution. Okay? Because when I got high, I always wanted to use nicotine. When I used nicotine, I didn't always want to get high. So that was a big thing for me, kind of like then alcohol and nicotine. Every time I drank alcohol, I wanted to use nicotine. So then I realized, okay, I got to, not drink alcohol for a while if I want to successfully quit using nicotine. So do you guys notice that effect? Like, do you guys do that chaser effect? Like, if you get high with weed, do you then feel, okay, I got to rip my vape over and over again, or I got to have a dip of tobacco or smoke a cigarette? Because I know I felt that. But every time I hit my vape or chew tobacco, I didn't feel like, oh my God, I got to smoke weed now. And so that was an issue for me. So I guess that's another reason why I had to quit using weed before I quit using nicotine products. That would be another really big thing. And I think financially, weed was more of a burden for me at the time. I think financially, weed was becoming more of a burden for me as my nightly usage started to dramatically increase and my weekend usage started to increase. I don't think you're wrong. You're not wrong to quit one over the other either way, to be honest, because I think just by starting somewhere, just by starting to quit one, you're going to start to build a little bit of that confidence back, a little bit of that discipline back, a little bit of that self-control back, just by starting to quit one of them. And I don't think either one is a bad idea. I don't think quitting either one is a bad idea. It's really depends on you as the user, as the consumer, the person who's consuming it. So that's my advice to people when they ask me, should I quit? And if you're feeling good about things, hell, quit them both at once. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Heck, in my opinion, if you're quitting smoking weed and quitting nicotine, yeah, quit them both at the same time. You're going to go through withdrawals anyways. Why go through one set of withdrawals to then just, a week or a month later go through another set of withdrawals? Like, why just constantly keep running your body through withdrawals? Just get it done with. If you're quitting both anyways, just get it done with. But I understand that doesn't work for everyone. I understand nicotine is viewed as like the absolute crutch in addiction recovery. Like, I quit drinking, but at least I still got my cigarettes. I quit smoking weed, but at least I still got my Zen pouches. Nicotine is always viewed as that crutch, and who knows, maybe there is some advantage to that for people. Maybe there really is some reasoning behind that and some advantage to that. I always disagreed with the rehab facilities that wouldn't allow people to smoke. I think there should be a training on helping people quit smoking on their own terms, but for the person coming off of opioids and alcohol and all this other stuff, like, let them have their cigarette. Because in that case, it's obvious that, chances are alcohol or opioids were having a much worse impact on that person's life than cigarettes probably were. Even though eventually cigarettes will presumably kill the person, it's like, God, let them get one thing under the belt to get that confidence up a little bit and then go attack that next problem. Because to strip everything away of the person, I think is ridiculous. I'm just on a tangent now. I hope this video helped you guys out. I hope it made some sense. I'm going to look for you guys in the comments below. I made another video about this. If you don't want to hit up the comments, follow me into the next video. I can't wait to hear your guys' opinion on this.